welcome Peter. Come on up, bud. So I invited Peter even though he doesn't normally speak.
I speak every day.
Well, okay, now you know I'm going to be in trouble, right? This is what I get. Well, I invited Peter even though he normally doesn't do presentations in front of large groups of people. Does that sound fair?
No, yeah, that's
You've done it.
fair. That's
You've
cool.
done it. That's how I met you.
I've done it. Yes, ma'am.
I met him at the Bruce Norris boot camp, right? And I watched him talk about how he handles acquisitions. And I went, OMG, I finally get it. Because I'm all about win-win. The video, oh yes, I have taken the, we used to have the FIBIPasadena.com, was a website where you paid $70 a year for the videos that we have. We almost have 2.5 years worth of them. Now you go to YouTube and they're available for free for you guys specifically to educate yourself. Who's new? Okay, FIBI Pasadena YouTube. 2.5 years worth of meetings and educations. Go watch them. Subscribe. Help me. Subscribe. Pay it back and forth, right? So, I was just telling Peter in the hall that I just used some of the things I learned from him, even though I'm not a door knocker. I have knocked on one door in my life. That was less than 10 days ago, and I'm now an escrow on the property.
All right.
Just saying, okay? Just saying. I think it was luck, but I was just saying. Yeah, actually, it really kind of broke it for me. So I would tell you my story, but I want you to hear his. He's better at it. So tell us just very shortly your history so people can understand. I mean, we heard a little bit here,
right.
But.
Where do you want me to start?
Okay, so you were
real
2
estate?
years old and.
Okay, all right.
Real estate. Why real estate? You know I'm all about why real estate. Why bother using that vehicle for your freedom?
Whew. Okay, well, let me just first say that.
There is no mic. This is just recording. I'm working on it slowly.
Man.
Supposedly I'm going to put speakers in about the next year. I need to be louder. I need to be louder?
Okay.
You need to be louder.
All right, where was I?
Why real estate for your choice of freedom?
Okay, well, the initial why was because the market was hot. I was driving from the valley to downtown every day, listening to Kiyosaki. I don't even remember what he was saying at the time, but I felt like a jackass sitting in traffic, just like. So the market got hot. I made some investments in Vegas, my man. And the interesting thing is that, you know, I looked pretty smart for a couple of years. And so, you know, the market can carry you for a while, which it did. And then during that time, this gentleman sitting right here, Brian Aponte, another Boricua, took me to a real estate club. This dude took me to a real estate club. It was raining. We came in the back door, walked through the kitchen, walked in there. It was a bunch of old fuddy-duddy dudes talking about taxes. We left. Okay? You know, and like, I don't need this bull, you know? So what ends up happening is the market crashes, and I stayed in touch with the dude that ran the club. So I was doing what you guys are doing, going to real estate clubs in a hot market, listening to all kinds of nonsense and garbage and, you know, mentoring, and I'll sell you this and that. But one day I ran into Bruce Norris. So that's a person that I could feel the truth. I could feel his credibility, and everything he said made sense to me. So from there, it was the first time I was able to develop a vision of how the business would end up working. And that's what was necessary for me, was to have a vision end to end, how I would get in the business, what I would do, and basically stop being confused. So Bruce Norris did that for me. But I had to start all over again after losing money, after clearly being a dummy that didn't know what he was doing.
Okay, how many of us were dummies in that? There we go. Okay, we got some good ownership in the back. Yep.
Okay, so I didn't have skills. Real estate has core competencies. Okay, so when the market's good, you don't have to have core competencies. It can be you can be operating without them. So that means appraisal, repair estimating, and for me to find out later was really people skills and dealing with people. Because I haven't bought a house from a dog, I haven't bought a house from a house. Every freaking time I have to buy a house from a person. So, and if you work foreclosures, you find out this is deep. This is no joke. This is not a place where you come and take a check out of somebody's ass while they're hurting. You understand? So then it gets serious. Then the people part gets serious. Either that or you're a thief and a liar or whatever you need to do. But for me, it got really serious because when you approach somebody in foreclosure and you build rapport with them, you find out a lot of times they have nobody else to talk to because they're ashamed of it. At least they used to be. Now it's like, yeah, so what? I got a foreclosure. I did a short sale. Everybody's doing it, right? But I went through my own personal situation on my house because I refied it. Took that money. I went to Vegas here with my friend, bought some stuff. That did pretty good. And then all of a sudden, boom, it went away. And I had this huge balance on my principal residence. So I went through it. Countrywide, they did a loan mod for me. Then they sold it to Bank of America. And then Bank of America's like, what loan mod? Loan mod, we don't see any documents here. So I had to start all over again. I had to battle with them. I had to go through all the stuff, people calling you, shame, and you're losing, and blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, you just got to get humble. So last thing about this, I was raised by my mom. She's from Puerto Rico. So the generation before her was about surviving and taking care of your fellow community members. Her generation was about getting an education. And that was it. School, education. So I kind of grew up under that model. I had an aerospace job. Just sit there, man. Just sit there. Don't move around too much. No, serious. And I started on my 21st birthday. I was working in a laboratory with a bunch of guys in their 60s. And these guys basically told me, kid, well, they called me Horadon, but kid, what are you doing here? You're going to buy a car, you're going to buy a house, and you're going to be here for 30 years. What are you doing here? Don't you have some interest in life? Don't you have something you want to go do? And they literally came down on me almost every day. And after about 2 years, I went, I'm gone. This is not for me. I'm not going to sit here for 30 years going, is it 5 o'clock yet? I can't, So I'm just telling you that we all come from different mindsets. So my mom took me aside and said, listen, we, meaning the culture she comes from, has a lot of beautiful things. We got music, we take care of each other and all that. We're not handed down knowledge of money and how to use money and how to keep money and how to, so she really, that really struck me. She said, you have to go get that. You have to go find that yourself. So all the crap I went through when I met Bruce Norris, then, him and all these gentlemen that were up here, I just look at them, they're like my uncles now. These are dudes that are willing to help me because they see me trying for myself, okay? Bruce Norris lends me money for 10 years. I borrow private money from this guy. Oh, isn't the interest too high? Man, just go buy the freaking deal, man. Get it done, And these people are here. So I feel like I have a family of people that I can call. Older gentlemen have been doing this a long time. They got their mindset in check. And now I'm trying to find every young person I can. Now that I know how to use a financial calculator, I'm going 360 months. Okay, I'm going to be pretty dead. But, if you put that knowledge into a 20-something-year-old's hand, look at that. I didn't get this knowledge until I was in my mid-40s. So.
Okay. So next question. I told him I'm going to treat him like a jukebox. I'm going to press J4, and then I'm going to let him talk. Okay, so here's the next one, J5. All right, so you say your identity needs to be clear. At the very beginning, when you go to make that very first connection with somebody, you want to make sure your identity is clear. Now, I've noticed I'm starting with identity, not your list. Okay?
Yeah, the list is worthless. It's pretty worthless. And so usually I run into people and they're like, yeah, you know, I downloaded 10,000 NODs and I got a database. And it's all bull crap. You know, you got to have a method to talk to people. So the identity, let me start with this. Who are you guys getting calls from these days on your cell phones?
Automated.
Okay, so you get those calls, they hang up on you, right? They just hang up on you. All right, then you get, hey man, you know, did you know about the solar rebate is about to run out, right? You get that. So, see, I'm a student of that. I pick up every one of those calls, okay? Because that's what my sellers are dealing with every day. They're getting tons of calls to their phone. So I'm always take that call, and you know, usually it's like, rah, 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 rah. I'm like, what? Man, I don't know what you do. Like, what do you do? Oh, well, do you need a new roof or, you know, whatever it is, okay? So when Bruce Norris asked me to develop this material, because he said people take his boot camp and then they send 500 letters and they're out of the business. So when I first started making these phone calls, I said, yeah, I'm an investor. Man, like that is so open to interpretation to tell somebody you're an investor. What the hell does that mean? I mean, you invest in stocks, gold, Bitcoin, what? So you have to really be clear about who you are and what your purpose for calling is, and you got to be able to say that in a short amount of time. So my identity is I'm either a neighbor, because I'm working this area where I have rentals. So that's my favorite one. You go, hey Brian, I'm your neighbor Pete over on 4th Street. I came by your house on 4th Street the other day, and I'm just wondering if you consider listening to an offer. See, that's not like, nobody has to roll that back and go, what? Huh? I'm your neighbor, man. I'm your neighbor, okay? So, look, this is an individual thing. It's an individual thing for each and every one of you. Somebody here might be a contractor, you know? My name's Gary. I saw your house over there. I got a crew working in the area. I want to keep them going. I was wondering if you'd, consider listening to an offer on that house. I think the contractor thing or the tradesperson thing, that is such a soft way to back into it. Or, would you like a bid on that roof? So it depends who you are. Some of you guys might have a license, right? So you have to disclose that. So you have to have that approach real clear. Now, I thank God I don't have a license, because people always ask me, are you a realtor? I'm like, oh, man, no, I'm not one of those. The reason I'm... No.
Okay, all the villagers in your room, raise your hand. Okay, these are all the people you just insulted. Okay, good.
No, it's...
We're going to insult all of you equally, so just be prepared.
No, but the thing is, there's a ton of realtor investors. Nanette's a realtor and an investor.
Right, realtor investors, raise your hand.
But see, they figured... They figured out how to approach that situation. To me, it's an advantage to me if somebody's like, are you a realtor? And I'm like, you know what? I call them, but they never call me back. And so I've taken matters in my own hands. That's why I'm calling you. I don't know. They're on vacation or at the mall. I don't know what they're doing. And so I guess the question was about
identity.
Identifying
your identity
yourself.
clear.
Yeah.
So does your identity need to be different for every call you're making, or is it true for that batch of calls?
I'm the same dude on every call. But how I talk to somebody, and that gets into,
Objections?
Well, no, it doesn't. It gets into, is it an owner-occupant, or is it a tenant-occupied property?
So let me hold it just for a minute. Your identity is the same on every call. How you start, your opening is, I'm a neighbor.
Or if I don't have a house close enough nearby, I'll say I'm a landlord in the neighborhood. So it's one of those two. I don't want to say I'm your neighbor and my closest house is 5 miles away, and they're like, oh, really? Where you live? And then I'm on Google trying to like fake it. You know, I've been there. I've been there. And to let you know, I really don't like to have a computer open while I'm making phone calls. But I have my database open, and I will put the address in Google and just kind of be like, okay, there's a park, there's a school, because that's cool stuff to talk about. If you know, most of these neighborhoods I'm calling, I know them pretty well. Okay, so, but if you don't, just get the thing up there and go, yeah, you know, you go by the park. I was over at the park the other day, and, you know, I saw your property. I think we've got a challenge right now because they're robo-dialers, and, you know, these businesses are they're horrible. I mean, my mom got a message, it was like, your license is going to get taken away and blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's like all this hardcore crap, you know? And so I push one, and you know, this dude's like, hello, some dude in India, like. And I told him, I'm like, bro, really? Like, you're trying to scare my mom? Like, what are you doing, man? You know, so what I'm telling you is I'm not here to crack jokes. I want you to be really aware of what's going on out there. So I think that environment, and it's really increased in the last 3 years, that environment, what it's done is it's made people not pick the phone up more than ever. Okay? So my thing is I leave messages. You know, how much is mail? 50 cents? 60 cents? 70 cents? Now, leaving messages on voicemail is free. So if I get 10 or 12 of those in a night, I'll usually get a call back. You know, sometimes a call back's like, hey, I'm just calling you back to let you know I'm not interested. But sometimes I got a call back recently from a message I left 2 years ago. And
describe that, because I think that's.
You know, man, this was a trip. I called this dude. He had a beat up house. I drove by it. His name was John. All right, so I wrote it down, blah, 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 put it in my database, left John a message, and then I get a call, and it's like, it's John, right? So, man, John, remember I talked to you? He's like, no, that was my dad. My dad's deceased. And I said, oh, man, I'm sorry, man. You know, I'm sorry. He said, my dad wrote your number down off the machine, and it was a note sitting on his desk. So I think the thing is, I don't think I can afford to not be into leaving messages right now, because all this robo-dialing is crushing, you know, where people don't pick up the phone as much. And I call from my cell phone. I know a lot of people that use dialers as private number. I'm like, man, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. I call from my cell phone at the end of the day. They call me back. It shows up on the caller ID because of the way I have my database set up, and it's really good. And the other point that relates to this, I don't know if you want to go here now, but is inbound versus outbound.
Let's do it, because we have
all right, so usually, you know, for 10 years or whatever.
This is J9.
Well, you know what? This stuff is so critical, and the thing is, without it, you know, look, the only reason I'm here is I'm hoping I can help one person. Because, see, I came to a club and heard one guy speak, and it changed my whole life. You know? It took me from complete idiot to, I know what I'm doing. I got some game, and I've got some experience, and I can do this, and it's fun. So that's just from seeing one guy. That's just from seeing one guy talk. So each one of these things is like, I can't live without it. I can't live without the concept. So mostly what I talk to people at these clubs is like, I want a motivated seller, all right? So I don't give a crap about a motivated seller. You know, really? You looking for somebody whose life is so jacked up they got to sell you a stinking house today? Hey, when you figure that out, how to find those cats like regularly, hit me up, because I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. So in my neighborhood, you know, what, 300 grand or something like that, 350. So if you got a way to get somebody to just deed you off 350 all the time, let me know. But for the most part, you're stuck dealing with people that have a life situation. So this whole concept of I'm going to send letters out and all these excited, motivated people are going to call me, I'm not really with that. So, I mean, And look, I'm just one guy.
So conversion rate from letters is usually about 3% or less. Just so you know.
Okay, yeah. So, look, people buy stuff off letters all the time. I'm not knocking mail. But here's what I'm telling you. If they call you, where are you going to end up? You're going to end up on the phone. Okay? Nanette, where are you when people call you back?
All over the place.
Right, you're at Costco.
Right.
If I want a seller to call me back, I just got to stand in Costco. Right.
Right as you're picking something up to put in the basket, right there.
Right there, okay? And then you're on your heels. They're going, hey, hey, Brian. Yeah, you said you wanted to buy my house. And you got, Trader Joe's, you got what's your address and blah, blah, blah. And you're trying to reverse engineer, right? You're trying to back out of it, figure out who the hell it is. See, I don't like that. I like to call them. And I got all my ducks in a row right here. I got my database. I know the underlying mortgage. I know if it's owner occupied or not. I'm winning. You understand? And the other thing is, anybody in here that says that they're making cold calls, if they're not calling out of the phone book, you're full of crap. Completely full of crap. Because the data that's available for you to know before you call somebody, cold calls? I'm sorry, I'm warm-blooded. I don't do anything cold. That's bull crap. And I got people that are experienced guys. John Messery, I think you said cold call to me the other day. You got to be out of your mind, man. The amount of data that's available for you to look at, and then you call them. You are in such a position to be able to do a really good job. So I'm just telling you, whether you take inbound calls or you do outbound calls, you're doing the same thing. You're talking to a person. Just because they called you off a letter doesn't mean they're motivated. It usually means they're crazy or lonely. I'm just saying, if you get 10 of those calls, you're going to get all these loony people that are like, yeah, I got a mobile home in Arizona. Right? Okay, so these are just like distinctions I like to make, and I'm just telling you, no matter what you do, you're going to be talking to somebody about their life situation, hopefully not about real estate, because nobody gives a crap about how many clubs you went to. Who cares? You're going to hurt yourself by talking about too much real estate. Back the hell up. Let them talk about their life, and then when that stuff all comes tumbling out, now you can start putting some solutions together. Hopefully you're looking out for their best interest. Pete Fortunato talks about real estate is not technique driven. It's not technique driven. I've talked to people in this room a million times. Hey, what do you do? I do lease options. Really? That's one thing, man. That's one thing that you know how to do. And you're going to call somebody. See, I'd rather have somebody that knows nothing about real estate make a phone call, because they're less likely to get tripped up on technique, what it is they're trying to do. They're trying to get there. You see, you're trying to fit them into this box. See, I guess Pete's last training, they sent him an email, and it said, we want to talk to you about, doing deals outside the box. And he emailed the guy back, and he said, what box? Okay? So when that information comes out, you're in a real position to consummate a deal, build some rapport. So inbound versus outbound, I say it doesn't make that big of a difference. Once you get over the hump of saying, I have to pick the phone up and call somebody and not sound like I work for the LA Times. So, it takes a while. It's not easy. It's challenging.
So let's talk a little bit about when you're preparing to make the calls. You talk about having all your stuff lined up.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the technicals of that, and then let's also talk about how that affects your mindset. How do you use the technicals so that it's no longer a cold call? It's now warm to you.
That's good. I would suggest to you that that's different for every person. So at the end of the day, what you need to prepare for a call is not really about the seller. It's about you, getting you super comfortable and confident about what the hell are you doing? Why are you there? So cold call is the yellow pages, all right? That's cold. That's just, but if you have a list, however, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about it later, but if you have a list most of us do. We try to narrow down who we're calling and what, right? So here's all I do. I use Google Contacts, totally primitive. I had 1,000 guys in here go, oh no, I got a custom database and it makes lattes and it shits. But see, the thing is, I had one of those too. And what I did is I spent time jerking around with my database.
Remember, he comes from the technical field, right?
Yeah,
so the database never intimidated him. He knew how to use it and he knew how to work it.
But I also know how it can damage the hell out of you. See, so in 2001, I was working for a technology company, and we were selling all this crap. It was thousands of dollars a month, video conferencing, all this stuff. They got 1,000 nerds up there. They got 1 million nerds up there in Northern California, and they're just making sure your crap is stable and it's free. Google Contacts, Google Calendar, Google Notes, Google Voice. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's free. It's free. It's solid as hell. It syncs like a mother. It's on all my platforms. All my leads are right here on my phone. I mean, if you guys want to do something else, go do something else. You got to be comfortable. Yeah, man.
Sorry, Bobby. So you just use Google straight, none of the other, cloud-based, or
Cloud-based what?
databases, or what do they call it?
CRMs? Google Contacts. Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't have that many leads.
Every time you talk to them, and
Every time I talk to them, I keep a note. 516, left message. 516, talk to Brian. He's on vacation. Call him back in a month. Ding, 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 ding. And then you can set calendar reminders. Lately, I've been using Google Notes. It's like this note thing. It just pops up all the time in your face, no matter where you are. I'm like, every computer, it's like bam, bam, bam. It just is like, hey, idiot, come on, man, do it. And it's free. I don't know what to tell you. It's completely free. So here's what my lead looks like. My lead says the date I found a lead and where I found it. So what kind of lead is it? So let's say 5, 16, 19, and it'll say, a field. That means I was driving around. Put a bookmark on that. Looks abandoned, okay? Then I'll go to the MLS. Is it listed? No. I'll go, and then I'll look at whatever notes the MLS has on it. By the way, I don't have a license and I have the MLS. Anybody gonna call the fuzz on me? What's gonna happen here, all right? 10 years. I had a Supra too, so. Okay, so there's that. So I know where the lead came from. I know when I found it. I know why, the condition of the house. And then I have an assistant that puts these records together for me. Then they go to title, boom, they grab, it's just a lot of cutting and pasting in there, right? So title will say, John and Sally Smith, okay? Site address, mail address, okay? If they're the same, then I put owner occupied, which may or may not be true. If they're different, I put owner non-occupied, okay? I'm just weaving myself a little story. Then I look at the underlying loan balance. What's there? When did it last transfer? What's the loan balance? And I mean, this is it's very small because I don't have time to screw around. I just want to open the lead, look at it, and go, they owe 50 grand on it. I know it's about a $300,000 neighborhood. I drove by it, I think it was abandoned. And, maybe there's some foreclosure data there, I don't know. And that's it. I just have to tell myself a little story. So that is different for everybody. So some of you guys might need to spend 20 minutes researching a house. And I probably did that in the beginning. Now I just go boom, 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 boom. It's a picture. I can read it. No current listing. Owner non-occupied. Free and clear. And I just go boom, boom, boom. Dial it up. And while it's ringing, I'm looking again, and I'm looking at it again, and I'm going, okay, and then when they pick it up, I'm ready to go. See, I don't like to spend a lot of time doing that because I've been doing it for so long that I'm comfortable looking at this thing for about 30, 60 seconds and making myself a mental picture. And to think that you're going to call people and they're going to be like, screw you, blah, 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 and going off on you and negative, that's delusional. You don't know that to be true, do you? Because nobody curses at me, nobody hangs up on me. I swear to you, it doesn't happen. So if you're going to be delusional, why don't you just be delusional in the other direction and say, this dude is going to be cool, he wants to sell me his house. You know, and guess what? And guess what? And this is not delusional. If it was my mom calling somebody for help with real estate, I wouldn't feel bad if she got a dude like me at all. Because, I mean, I'm decent, I'm honest, I'm not looking to take anybody to the, unless it's a bank, I'll take them to the hole every time. A bank, I mean, if it's a bank, it's all about, you know, switchblades and brass knuckles. But if I'm dealing with an owner occupant, I'm not looking to hurt anybody. And is anybody in here looking to hurt somebody else to make money? Bunch of liars. So guess what? Guess what? That's something that you can take. And look, when the phones are ringing, John, it's like an out-of-body experience, right? Justin, ring, you're like, you kind of like, you fade out, you kind of space out a little bit, right? But I'll tell myself something like that, like, hey, I've helped a lot of people. So I feel good about, I feel really good about this. And the other thing is, I just bought a deal. If you want to talk about it later, we can. I didn't sell him solar, newspapers, or nothing. He didn't give me a penny. But you know what? Bruce Norris Financial Group wired him 110 grand a couple weeks ago.
So part of your mentality is the concept of, I'm calling them, I don't know if I've got the quote.
Man, I don't know how you can see that.
Okay. We are buyers looking to spend money, and ultimately we'll be paying them and solving their problem. We are buyers. We're looking to spend money, and ultimately we'll be paying them and solving their problems while doing it.
So I don't know if you guys need all of this touchy-feely, secret kind of crap. I do. I need to pump myself up and get myself in a good space. I really do. I need to get myself into a positive space. It takes energy. It takes good energy. So it might be different for you guys. It might be totally different for you. But all I'm saying is you got to find out what that is for you. You know, maybe what I do works really good for you. Maybe you go, man, this dude's an idiot. He uses Google Contacts and he's doing all this other bull crap. Like, I'm going to do it this way. Cool. Like, do it your way. And then the cool thing is like, I got these folks here. I got that dude in the back. I got her. They're really cool. I got Big Raj in the back, okay? I got Brian. See, these are people I talk to, you know? And Roger's like, Pete, I got a thing going on in Florida, and I did this and I did that. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I learned from that. And then, you know, John, so what happens is, if you stay in touch with other people that do this, and it's a small fraternity. It might be getting bigger, but I feel like it's kind of like, I don't even feel competition, man. I don't feel it. If it's there, okay. When's the last, me and Nanette, when's the last time you and me knocked heads because we're working on the same lead? Freaking never, okay? We work the same stuff. I can look at your database and you got all my good stuff in there. What you doing with my stuff? Right? So I think that's all, you know, these are just the little things that I do for myself. I identify who I'm calling, why I'm calling them, and I make it really simple. Yes, sir?
You're calling them to find the phone numbers.
The phone numbers, I use a database called TLO. All right? Costs money, and, you know, they kind of look up your, it's not easy to get the data. It's not like you just go sign up, you know.
They have to do a background check on you in order to allow you to do a background check on people. But once you've got the account, it doesn't cost you very much to run, and they'll give you a phone number they'll give you a list of phone numbers, and there's a percentage next to how likely they think it belongs to that person.
And that percentage you can throw out the trash, because I call 100, 90, and then I get the guy in the 2% number.
Okay, so let's go to, how do you handle standard objections? Something like, how did you get my phone number?
Okay, well, so after...
If you're going to run into somebody who is mad at you, which doesn't happen very often, how did you get my phone number?
Okay, so that usually comes, and I'm just going to give you a little schematic of the call. I've broken it down to, I do my introduction, all right? So I go, hey, Jonathan, my name's Pete. You know, I'm a neighbor close to your house on 4th Street, And I was in the neighborhood the other day. I noticed your house, and I'm just calling to see if you consider listening to an offer.
How'd you get my number, Pete?
Okay? So that's, you do your whole thing, you're clear and everything like that, and they're like, forget what you're talking about right now. I got some other stuff to talk to you about. So,
Okay, everybody who's done calling is laughing in the room right
okay?
now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So fair enough, man. People call me all the time, so I don't say, how do you get my number? You know, I know how they got my number. So every time you fill out an application somewhere, you know, at the hospital probably, they sell it, you know. All right. So what that is, that's it. What you got to do is you got to be really cognizant of the fact that's a distraction. That's somebody that you're doing your thing and they're going, Let me talk to you over here, Pete. How'd you get my phone number? Okay? And I just tell them the truth, all right? I've got a gal that works at the college. She looks them up on the internet. So at this point, I invoke my old man rights and I go, you know what? I am terrible on the internet. I don't know what these kids are doing, but what takes me an hour to do, she can do in about 30 seconds. That gets rid of about 90% of the objections. They'll go, yeah, I know, my grandchildren are idiots, you know. Okay, so that gets rid of about 90%. Now, some people persist on that point. And they'll say, you know, I paid the phone company to have my number unlisted. They get all intense about it. And I'll just go, you know what? I can ask her how she found it. You know, when I was growing up, the phone book was like this big yellow thing. Now, I don't know what's on there. I'm not even sure what I'm going to see if I go on there. The stuff I shouldn't even be seeing, right? All right? So, and if they persist in being intense, I'll say, hey, man, if I got your number and I wasn't supposed to have it, I completely apologize. But number one, blame it on young people. Number two, shit works. I mean, it really works. It works. Blame it on young people, blame it on the internet. Frickin' Steve Jobs and Gates and all those assholes. Okay, that works really well for me. I survived a private investigator and a sheriff. And those dudes were not playing, man. That PI, whoa, man, that dude. So I don't come out and say I don't come out and say TLO. I really do have an assistant, and she really does look them up. So if they want to get super intense, I don't care. I'm not doing nothing illegal here. I mean, I'm cool. I'm just cool. We can, you know, so far I've been able to survive that. But see, when that happens, I go, cool. I basically get them to say, I'm sorry. Blame it on the internet. Blame it on young people. And then I go back and I restate my intro. I restate my purpose because that throws the whole thing off. That throws your rhythm completely off. So I restate my purpose and I go back at it. But I start again because that really jacks it up. But the thing is, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm not like, oh, they're pissed. I'm like, come on, bring it. Come on, get mad, get pissed. So if people get pissed off, you're a complete bozo if you think they're mad at you, especially if you're calling on a distressed property. Okay? I get calls on my properties, and I'm like, if the property's like a problem for me, it pisses me off. But I'm not pissed at them. I'm pissed at the property and my lack of doing this, my lack of doing that. I'm mad at myself. Okay? So, you really got to get at this thing. If somebody's mad, don't take it personal. You're talking to them a lot of times about a property that's a pain in their rear end that they're not really happy about. Or whatever else. They're not happy with their wife or with their job. Hey, man, that's not my problem, bro. That's not my problem. I'm just calling you to try to help you out with this situation. And, you can turn that anger. A lot of it is blame. So now we're kind of coming out of that. But when, during the bad market, so I'm mad at the bank, I'm mad at Wall Street, I'm mad at that. So you bring up real estate and all that comes out. That's blame. They get into this blame thing. So you got to channel that anger and blame or whatever. And what I do is I just get on this side of the table and I go, man, I had a loan with Countrywide. See, I'm standing next to that person. I'm not over here going, I get right over here. And I go, I had a loan with Countrywide. They did a loan mod for me. Then they sold it to Bank of America. And at Bank of America, it disappeared. I had to do a short sale on my residence. I think realtors can be jackasses too, you know? So I get over here with them on all that anger, blame related stuff because I've been through it. I mean, I've been through some other real estate pain. I got embezzled by a guy that knew nothing about real estate. I mean, this is my man here too. But guess what? I knew less than nothing. So I got my ass beat by a real dumb guy. So no, I'm serious. I'm serious. So I have all of that stuff. And if you don't have that stuff, then maybe you should talk to your friends that had foreclosures and that have been through all of this kind of stuff. Okay? So you call them up about their house and they've got a whole bunch of bad emotions and stuff about stuff that has nothing to do with you. So I love when people get angry with me because they end up being pussycats most of the time. You know? And if they're at the bank, well, you got a situation now, you're going to let the bank whip your ass again? Or are we going to get this together and let you win on the way out? Let you win here. All right, sorry about that.
That's great. So you see how easy it is because he's really clear. He's here. He's a buyer looking to spend money, and ultimately he's going to pay them and solve their problem. Right? So it's pretty easy to retreat to that when you know you're there to do something good, which is to give this person money and help them move forward. Okay, I have one more objection I want to do, but Annette, what's your question?
I just want to point out, because Pete and I talk a lot, one thing I know about him is he's very humble. Like me, I can get warrior, you know, in warrior a lot. And so the same situation that I'll talk to him about, he'll like humble himself, like what he just did. He'll put themselves on his side and all that. That's like a real skill that I want to make sure no one overlooks. Yeah.
Well, it takes a while. I mean, it also takes a while. So, you know, I mean, people can get intense on the phone, but I don't blame them, man. They're getting bombarded. So, you know, most people have this like, oh, I got to make cold calls. And I'm just like, look, man, you know, say what you want about America. But one cool thing about America is you can just go out there and get what you want. Okay? But you have to ask somebody for it. Okay? So if we're in real estate, who the hell are we going to ask for the opportunities we're looking for? Who in the hell are we going to ask? Somebody tell me who you're going to ask. Do you know anybody else? No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. A bank. I love banks. I love dealing with banks because I got no shame with the bank.
So I was a salesman for a long time, and I figured out the best salesmen are the guys that can do what you can do for your customers, not to your customers. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that you're going to. So I'm curious, how do you pursue these leads? Do you call them once a month? Is it a one call? If they call you back, but if not, it's over. And then what do you do when they call you in Costco? Like,
Okay.
How do you,
Well, let me take the first thing. You're talking about following up.
yeah, do you call them? Do you put them on a tickler and call them once a month, or is it just one call and if they don't call you back?
I do put them on a tickler, but I don't get tickled. It's like I suck at following up. So one thing I want to bring up, I'm not talking to you as somebody that's like killing it in terms of doing this really great. I'm a constant failure at this. I'm constantly falling off the horse on my face and then getting up and starting over again.
Well, so is Mike Trout. You know?
Huh?
So is Mike Trout. I mean, he strikes out 7 out of 10
Well, that's
times,
right.
you know?
That's right. So, but that psyche-wise, they can be kind of tough sometimes. Like, oh man, I'm not doing shit. But then you get a deal, and you're like, pfft. You know. So that's a really good question because the way I follow up is through calendar reminders. So if they say, nah, man, he's getting into a really good place here. So here's what they say a lot of times, my guys here and ladies that do this. No, Molly, I'm not selling right now. Crickets, right? You're like, oh, shit, you know. No, you just got to know. You asked for what you wanted, the universe or whatever you want to call it, right? And the universe went, nah. Okay, so now what do you do? Click, and then you're like, I'm such an asshole, right? Right? Is that right? I should have said all these things. But when they say that they don't want to sell right now, I get 3 different things. This one I got from Ward Hannigan. And Ward Hannigan is, That's a guy that if you learn from him, man, you're just on another thing. But Ward said, when would you might possibly be thinking about selling? And they're going to say, a year, 2 years. What do you think is going to be better in a year or two? Man, that question, when he taught me that question, I was like, man, that kills. Because now we're talking about the economy. Unfortunately, we're talking about politics, which I hate, but hey, it comes up. So when they say no, I'm not selling, I'll say a couple things that are, what I'm trying to do is extend the conversation. So one is, oh, you must really have a good tenant. So now I'm getting landlord vibe with them, right? Because if you get 2 landlords, they'll be crying within like 30 seconds, All right? So I'd say, oh, you must have a good tenant, And a lot of times they'll go, yeah, I do. And I don't blame you for not selling. I mean, a good tenant is hard to find. They pay on time. So now you start going down that track. And now you're talking with them, right? So one is, if it's, and a lot of stuff you guys are going to be calling is investor owned.
Yes, if they talk about landlord versus owner.
Exactly. So it's investor owned. So if you're going to call an investor, and that's up to you to kind of look at the title and say, is it owner? If it's owner non-occupied, chances are it's somebody who bought it to rent it out. Now, this is Pasadena. I can't tell you about Pasadena. It's like 1.5 for a condo. I can't talk to you about that. But what happens is these people will come at a landlord / investor with the we buy houses vibe. Man, people don't like that. You see what I'm saying? They're investors. So some dork that went to Montalongo or one of those jackasses.
How many people are pissing off in the room right now? I'm just saying.
Hey, listen, I took a bunch of crappy training too. Those guys are thieves. I'll say, bro, we're recording. Montalongo's a thief. Okay? All right? Okay? Good for him. He's getting paid, but the amount of people I've seen that have been ripped by him is not funny or cool. All right? So, okay. So if you're going to come at that person with hey, I'm going to get wholesale, I'm going to get up under you and make some money off of you, you're just kicking yourself in the ass. So you have to talk to them about where they're at. So usually I look at the sale date. That's why I like to have the date of sale. So if they bought after 2009, I'll be like, man, you bought that right. Good timing. You're a genius, basically. And I'll say, I bought stuff in 05 and 06, man. If I'd only waited like you. Now you're on another thing. Now you make them feel good about their purchase, right? Let them feel good about it. And talk to them different. I had a guy offer me, I bought a house for 110 grand, and this guy who's an agent investor, he called me and offered me 130. And the guy was such a tool, man. He was such an asshole. He was just rude, man. He was talking to me like I was a child. I said, hey, man, like 130? I can't even hear you. That's not ringing my bell. And he was real. So that's a guy that talked to me like I was some child, All right? So that's why I use that data set of owner occupied, not occupied, and find out what are they doing with the house and talk to them that way. Owner occupants are a lot more emotional, right? Because it's like, yeah, little Johnny was, 4 foot tall now and has got all the marks on the wall and everybody grew up there and all the memories and all that. Investors just need to come out smelling good. That's all. And if you try to get up here, on somebody else, you're stupid, man. I get down here and be like, wow, you made a good buy, man. That's good. Then I ask them about their mentors. Like, you know about Bruce Norris? The guy that runs the Culver City Club that Bruce spoke at on Tuesday, you know how I met him? He had a crappy house in my neighborhood. And I called him, and he tells the story every time. He was washing his kids. And I called him at his pad. He was in the bathroom. But see, this guy was cool enough to be like, how did you get my number? But like, I want to know. So we're good friends. Well, I mean, we're good friends. I go to Justin's part of that club too. I go to their club every time they have it. And And so let me just point this out. You want to network? You want to network with investors? Get an owner non-occupied list and call those people and find out what they're about and try to meet with them. And if they tell you, hey, no, I'm not selling my house, blah, 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 go, hey, would you like to be on my buyer's list? I find deals all the time. Ooh, I just turned that around, didn't I? And now they're talking to me different. I'll be, let me get your email address, doody-doody-da. And I just put them on my buyer's list. Man, everybody's your friend. So, all right, go.
Okay. Okay, good. So let's see. All right, we covered that. We're looking at money. Outbound calling is the process. I know, my list sucks. Oh.
All right, we did that. Anger and blame. Oh, I like this too. I just call it taking their temperature, about being conversational and friendly. So, because the kind of humor thing, I like that. You know, I like to kid around with people. And so I'll usually say something in the beginning that's kind of maybe, you know, I'll joke with them a little bit. Look, I mean, sometimes it's like, it's a total failure, you know what I mean? Because if they're not like that, then, you know, but then I know this is a different kind of person. This person doesn't want to BS around with me and kid around with me. You know, that's not that kind of person. But more often than not, they kind of connect with you a little bit. You know, make a joke about the temperature or whatever, you know, or something around that neighborhood. And so I'm kind of taking people's temperature to see how likely they are to kind of vibe with me and, you know, get a little, you know, personal off the real estate topic. So I'm always kind of putting those out. I'm always putting those feelers out to where I just get off the topic a little bit, you know, and try to find out, you know, something like that. The tenant, what do you think about the market? What do you think about the economy? Or it could be more personal. What do you think about that piece of crap, you know, residential tract they're building right over there? And so I'm always just trying to test people for what they're willing to do in terms of kind of getting a little more interpersonal and friendly. Yeah, man.
So we talked, you know, before.
Yeah.
Today. What we were talking about? What's the BS that you're hearing a lot in clubs that isn't true that you've been able to do?
There's no deals, man. There's no deals. There's no cash flow in Southern California. What you need to do is you need to go to Ohio, Memphis. Let's see, what's the other one? Indianapolis. So you need to go there because there's no deals here in Southern California. You can't cash flow. It's a wrap. It's over with. All right? So let's go home. You know, so I hear that all the time, and I'm taking these deals down. So I think the club is really good, and the way Christina lays this club out, you know, I wish I'd had a better attitude in the beginning. Because what I've done is try to avoid people. Because they're a real people, you know what I mean? And that's a real you see, but that's a giant failure on my part. And I'm starting to realize, without people, I don't have any of this. You know, my mentors are people, the sellers are people, my family. It's a lot of people that you have to deal with. So the other thing about the club is you gotta not what you hear in these clubs. You can't adopt that as your truth. You can't do this. You can't do that. Now we have to go and take 100 of us and invest in an apartment building. Bullshit. There's deals out there, and if you're willing to treat people well and look out for their best interests, there's a whole bunch of deals for you. I believe.
We're going to take a question and
Believe
I have
that.
another J17 I want from you.
All right.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, I had a question about, like, you approach people really altruistically, like you're going to help them. At what threshold would you say it begins to be stealing, like as like an as-is value or an ARV kind of value in your mind? Like, what is a deal if you're helping them? You know what I mean? Or how do you?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, and you know, this is from my mentors. Value is very subjective. The last deal I bought, that dude needed some money. He needed it quick. I didn't even suggest the damn price. Okay? So could I have paid him more for that deal, or could he have gotten more somewhere else if he put it on the market? Yeah, but I don't know that he has 6 months to fix it up, the money to fix it up and all that. So in terms of altruism, I mean, I'm looking out for people's best interest. So a lot of times I say, I really think that you should take this to the market. And that's what I think. That's what I think. Sometimes I have people tell me, I don't have time for that. So I can only pay what I can pay. I'm using the most standard model that Bruce Norris taught me and will lend me money on, ARV, okay? But that requires you to be an appraiser. So, you know, don't come at me with your Zestimates, because I don't want to hear about it. And it's the truth. It's the truth, man. You got to know how to appraise, and you can't be faking it or half-stepping it. And look, I get deals all the time. I got one in Long Beach. I don't know Long Beach, man. I'm at a disadvantage in Long Beach. I got to get one of my guys that knows Long Beach and go through this whole set of gyrations. My market I know cold, all right? So that's a really good point. I told you, a bank, I will shank them right in the gut, and like that. An individual, I will honestly direct them to the place that I think is best for them. And it's not hard to do. And you put in a lot of time and a lot of work, and you don't get deals. But somehow when I get home, I turn the faucet and the water comes out. So I just believe if you take care of everybody, then the thing comes back to you. I know it sounds corny and all that, but the thing is I enjoy the repetitions in between deals. They don't bother me. They don't bother me. Some people hate this stuff. I enjoy it.
Talk
So.
more about that, the repetitions in between.
Oh, Jesus. Well, you know, you look at property, you go into neighborhoods, you look for stuff in your neighborhood. Oh, man, you just brought me to the point I really wanted to make. Oh. Anybody read the 4-Hour Work Week? Yeah, you're all full of crap. Okay? If you can get this done in 4 hours a week, then good for you. Okay? But the thing is, I'm not looking to get somebody in the Philippines to do this for me and all this other. I'm in the real estate business. Single family houses, by the way. Okay? Single story, no pool. So what I end up doing is I end up going out and looking at houses. Man. Oh, you know, you could hire somebody to go do that for you. You're killing yourself, because what happens is when you go look at a house, you get excited about it. You can't buy this, man. You can't buy this anywhere. So that excitement should lead you to come back, and either you or your assistant, I don't mind my assistant doing this part, create a record for me. And it lights a fire under my ass where I'm going, I drive by that house and I'm like, I'm going to be so pissed off if that realtor dude in the back has his sign up there in a week. Be like, okay? So when you have everybody else do all of this stuff, you don't touch the product, man. You have nothing to get excited about. So do it yourself at least for a while. So the repetition is get out there, make contact with the damn product, figure out a way to contact the person that owns the product, right? And then you got to talk to them. So the repetitions are looking for properties, you know, sometimes looking for them online, creating records, putting the phone numbers in there, calling these folks, doing appraisals, doing repair estimates, hopefully meeting with these people face to face. It's a lot of repetitions. You know, I had a guy I went to his house. Man, this dude's whole life story, he just started like, it was, you know, I told him, I'll help you, man. And now I'm like, oh man, he's texting me. But that's part of the bag. You know, if you say you're going to help people, if you want to say you help people only when it makes you money, then I think that's totally fair. That's totally fair. But you have to decide that for yourself and manage it accordingly. So when I taught at Bruce Norris's, Bruce Norris, you know what he said? He said, I'm not coming to your shitty house unless you're ready to sell me your house. That's him. He's like, are you ready to do this, man? Because if not, I'm not coming.
Bruce is full of crap.
That's Bruce.
No, he's full of crap. How many houses he walked in and he walks out without buying it because he knows that's the best decision? He's full of crap when he says that.
No, but the decision to go to the house is what I'm, and him and I, the great thing about the boot camp is that we differ there. I said, Bruce, I will go out there just because I want to meet the person and find out what's going on with them. I don't care. It's an hour, 2 hours. You know, I'm not like him. I'm not lending $80 zillion to, you know. So, I mean, he's got other things to do. Me, it's my market. It's small. I want to meet the people and find out what's going on with them. And that doesn't always go in your favor. And sometimes it's like an ice pick in the face, man, because they're, you know, hitting you up, asking you all these questions, and they have no idea what they want to do. So you're trying to help somebody that doesn't even know.
So let's bridge off of the question he asked, which is what you're looking for. Yeah, is the amount. You're not looking for the price that they want us, the price of the property. You're looking for what amount they need.
Yeah, I call it seller net. So, man, who taught me this? Shit. I don't remember. No, somebody else. But so instead of focusing on the price of the house, see, this is why I pull the underlying loan information, especially on an expired listing. Anybody here work expired listings besides agents? All right, so what's that? That's somebody that tried to sell their house, let's call it 6 months, and the realtor couldn't get it done. Is it the realtor's fault? I would say usually not. So there's some really easy clues. You know, they're trying to pay low commission. There's not a lot of pictures of the house. You know, sometimes you look at the loan balance and you go, that's tight. They're probably asking the poor agent to try to close the house for a 1.5% and all that kind of stuff, right? So, what the hell? I just totally lost my train of thought. Okay, good. Okay, so what if it's a $300,000 house and you look at it and you see a 210 loan balance? Okay, does that mean they're making 90 grand? No. I use 10% for closing costs, you know? So that's 30 grand. So 30 from 300 is 270. What if they got to pay 15% capital gains? That's another 45. Take 45 off of 270, where are we now? 2.25? And they owe 210? That's $15,000 if they get at the finish line. And I say, hey, did your agent give you a net sheet? Or I guess some people still call it a HUD-1. No. So how much did you think you were going to get from this sale? You know, well, I don't know. I go, why don't you let me have my escrow prepare you a net sheet? And there's the grand total, 17 grand, 18 grand. I'm looking at this deal needs 18 grand and I can buy this house. I'm not looking at it's 800 grand or I just want to know what the net number that the seller is going to get in the end. Because maybe they don't have to have it all today. Maybe they'll take 15 grand today and carry a note for the rest, or I don't want to get into techniques at all. But there's different ways to get them that money where you take the property over, you know, however it happens. So I focus on seller net, not on sale price. Because, you know, this is the other objection we didn't get to. You know, hey, Brian, I'm trying to buy your house, blah, 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 blah. Really? How much? How much, chump? How much? It's like that, right? Right? It's like that. It's like, how much? Like, right now, how much? So at first I'd be like, now I'm like, listen, this is a house. This is your house. So I'm not going to make you an offer that I have to come up on right now. What I want to do is I want to see the condition of the house, and you know, I need to do all my due diligence. You didn't do your due diligence. I said, hey, I can't do all the due diligences on all the houses ahead of time before I contact the seller. I'm asking for your permission to do my due diligence. See? They're here, get down here. I'm asking for your permission to do my due diligence. And I'd really like to see the inside of the house. You know, can we meet at the house? We just meet up? And I'm going to give you a number, and I'm not going to fail to close on it. It's not going to be a bunch of games. There's a million people that will give you a number, get you an escrow, and start playing with you. Yeah. Right? So I don't do business that way. I do my due diligence. I make my offer. I close it cash. We get out. Okay? But there's a million people that will make you a bullcrap offer. Open escrow. Get their stupid home inspector out there. Hate those guys. And I'm sorry if anybody's a home inspector. My bad. Well, investors are the worst. So, so that to me, I mean, is that fair? Does that sound fair to you? So that's a big objection, along with how did you get my number? The other one is how much right now, man? How much? You're calling me. How much? So you got to fight back from those. You got to dance your way through those.
Okay, so do you have something hot on that list, or do you want to talk about your case study?
The case study's probably cool. Man, I can't believe I hit most of this.
You did.
iWord, intro line, seller net. Yeah, man. Data pro. We didn't talk much about data, but that's a good thing because.
One thing you were saying about your numbers, and then you went over Bruce's loan, but you didn't finish the numbers. How you make your offer.
Oh, my bad. Oh, so yeah, I did. Man, I totally screwed that up. Yeah. ARV, so that requires an appraisal, right? You need to be able to get that number, what the resale ARV, after repair value. And it can't be, oh, there's one on Zillow for $390. You have to, at some point, you have to consider that you have to take on the process of appraising. Okay? It's tedious, it's a pain in the ass, but once you have that skill, man, you will be so happy. So then I just go ARV times 0.7. So if it's a $100,000 house, $70,000 minus the repairs. Make sense? ARV times 0.7, $100,000 house, $70,000 offer, but we got to back the repairs out of that. We got to subtract the repairs. So it needs 15 in repairs. You take the 15 away from the 70, now you're at $55,000. That's my offer. Oh, that's a low ball offer. Hey, man, you got some money that you're willing to put out here? I'm not risking my ass. I'm not going to be a chump again. I did it one time real good, man. I killed it. I was the biggest idiot in America. I killed it. I'm not doing that again. So if you don't like my offer, and agents are usually the ones that, oh, you can't do that. Man, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. By the way, I'm going to give you the resale listing at 3%, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. So what were we doing?
You were going to do a field example.
Oh, so I bought a deal. I closed it 2 weeks ago. I began calling the dude in 2017, the beginning of 2017. I actually walked this neighborhood. And my mentor, John Schaub out of Florida, I don't know anybody that puts this stuff any better. That dude, you get some of his books, man, it's over with. You study those books, that's it. He's a 40, 50-year guy that knows how to communicate it in a simple form. So John Schaub says, don't drive neighborhoods, and I still drive them all the time. He said, get out of your car and walk, and you will see things that you can't believe. So I'm walking through this thing, and I look, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a pile of crap. That's me. That's me. So I write the address down. I write the address down, and I send that information to my assistant at the time. She creates a record in my database. So I start calling this dude in 2017, a guy named Michael. So I say, hey, Mike. Yeah, this is Mike. Actually, I left him a message on his home machine. He called me back from his cell phone. I said, hey, just, your neighbor, just seeing if you consider listening to an offer. And this dude was just on this perpetual, call me back. Call him back. I don't have the keys. Blah, blah, blah. I got to get the keys made. He's just, just going on. And then, you know what he says? I call him up. He goes, hey, man, I want you to talk to my agent. What's that? That's the kiss of death. That's like that mafia thing where they, is like, you're dead, right? The agent. But see, I don't look at it that way. And so in spite of the crap I talk about agents, and I talk crap about agents to investors because investors always come up to me and tell me that agents told them they couldn't do something. I just don't want you guys to think that agents, because they got a license, know a damn thing about investing. Well, it's true. It's true. So if you buy a car and the fuel injection screws up, do you go back to the salesperson? No, you don't. But that doesn't mean that these people with licenses here don't kick ass, because a lot of them do, all right? So I called the guy back. I called the agent. Her name was Karen. I actually knew her. So I'm like, here we go. It's the agent. And she says, yeah, man, I'm telling him to sell this house. That went on for a year. So I had a year with him. I had a year with her. And then about 6 or maybe 2 months or 6 weeks ago, she calls me. She goes, he's going to put it on the market but he wants you to have the first crack at it. I'm like, cool. I built a little rapport with that dude. I built a little rapport with her. So 2 bedrooms with an add-on, 3rd bedroom, and the add-on is a hunk of garbage, man. It's got a bad roof line, and the county took the power meter. So when the county doesn't like what you're doing sometimes, they'll just come out and take the power meter off the house. Basically, if you think you're BSing around here, you're gonna have to come to us first, and you're gonna have to make us happy, right? But the rest of the house is rehabbed. It's rehabbed. So I think they were gonna list it at 160. It's about a 220 house all. I know it's bending your mind if you're from LA, but it's about a 220, 230 house all fixed up, okay? And I was like, yeah, how about 135? And so what happened was I kept telling her, I have to go to the county and figure this out because I'm not gonna buy this. I'm gonna complete my due diligence. I don't know what the county wants. And she kept lowering the price. How about this? How about this? I said, look, I still need to get this from the county. So what ended up happening is she called me on a Friday, and yeah, I was out in the poppies, by the way. And I'm just like, hey, I wasn't. Yeah. So she says, look, she goes, would you take it for 100? And I'm like, yeah, I would do that. I'm like, I would do that. She writes it up at 100, sends it to me, DocuSign it, boom, right? She starts texting me over the weekend. Man, I thought I could get that through. But see, she's trying to get this for me. You see that? She's not beating me down. I got her on my side. Now I did tell her, hey, look, we can do this. I'm going to resell it with you. You think that changes things a little bit? Hi, oh yeah, we got 15 offers. Oh, okay, cool. I just was hoping you could write it up for me, and then, I was going to fix it and resell it with you. By the way, I've never paid less than 3% commission. So you can say what you want about me and agents, but they send me listing agreements at 2.5 all the time. And I say, hey, fix that. You're worth 3, aren't you? You worth 3 or are you worth 2? 3. Do you know what that does? Okay, first of all, wasn't there 12 offers here? Wasn't it? 12 offers disappear. So what ends up happening is, I'm sorry? Yeah, all of a sudden the other offers go away. See, but I genuinely give a crap about them making money. My daughter's a commercial agent, sells apartment buildings. Hollywood and LA. Do you know what happens to her? Guys with $30 million bank statements are torching her commission. And I want to find one of them dudes. I got one right here. And just knock their teeth out because I hate that. Why are you in a young lady's purse? Why is your filthy hand in my daughter's purse? No. It makes me really pissed off. So I pay everybody 3%. If I can't buy a house that supports 3% commission, I suck at my job. Bottom line. Now, I don't work Altadena and all this other billion-dollar stuff, okay? So I'm not judging you if you have a different structure. So I bought the house for $110,000, 100% financed by the Norris Group. That's a pretty conservative bunch of folks over there, okay? They don't play games. They go, here's our box, get in it or go home. And they're not nice about it either. But, we all know Craig Hill. I can sit here and joke about Craig Hill. Craig Hill made my career because he held my feet to the fire and said, don't bring that bullshit in here. Keep it out of here, okay? So they paid for the whole 110 and they offered me money for repairs because their appraisal came in at 246. I paid 110. All I have to do is knock this. I'm not going to fix that add-on. I'm going to knock that piece of crap down. It's going to cost me about five G's for that. I've got a 3-year loan at 6.9. My payment's $630, and I'm going to get 14 all day and all night. So that's a rental that just added cash flow that I'm not letting go of that. I'll be dead as hell. And my lineage will be getting paid. I bought that deal this year during all this bad news and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I bought it because the people I made contact with. I was honest with him. I treated him good. By the way, the agent lived not so close. And she kept going, I got to go and clean that up. I said, you don't have to do a damn thing, sweetheart. I killed a whole bunch of black widows. I cleaned stuff up. There was water damage. I took all the money. And everything I did, I sent her a picture. And she's like, wow, this dude. And when it was over, I drove her lockbox to her. Okay? Guess what? That lady is looking for deals to do with me. She wants to do another deal with me. It's not because I'm smart. It's not because anything, except I just looked out for everybody's interest. In terms of the price, oh, that dude disappeared. He was sitting right there. In terms of the price, the seller and their agent dictated the price to me. And the price was great for me. So it's a good example. It happened recently. It didn't happen in Ohio, Memphis, or Indianapolis. It happened in Los Angeles County. And I didn't do nothing special. You guys can do it. So it looks like we're wrapping up.
We're wrapping up. 9:15. Sorry, boys, 9:15. You can ask some questions later. He's going to stay. So let's give him.
Oh, I got to go.